The invasion. The Korvax arrived on a Tuesday. Massive obsidian ships pierced Earth's atmosphere like dark spears, their hulls absorbing sunlight rather than reflecting it. They positioned themselves over major cities: New York, Tokyo, London, Moscow, Beijing, hanging in the sky like silent promises of doom. For 16 hours, they did nothing but hover, their presence alone causing global panic, stock markets to crash, and governments to scramble fighter jets that seemed laughably small against the alien vessels. Commander Maya Chen watched the Jakarta ship from her military base, her dark eyes narrowed as satellite imagery flowed across her screens. 20 years in Indonesia's special forces had taught her patience, but this silent standoff made her skin crawl. "They're scanning us," said Lieutenant Rahmat, her communications specialist. "Every electronic signal, every broadcast, every power signature. They're building a complete picture before they—" The sky turned purple, not the entire sky, but directly beneath each ship, as energy fields expanded outward. Then came the sound, a deep, resonating hum that made teeth vibrate and birds drop dead from the trees. The purple fields pulsed once, twice, and on the third pulse, they released their energy. Jakarta, like all targeted cities, went dark instantly. Every electronic device failed simultaneously. Cars stopped dead on highways. Planes fell from the sky. Hospitals plunged into darkness. Within moments, smaller craft emerged from the motherships, sleek, predatory vessels that streaked down toward now defenseless populations. The Korvax had begun their harvest. "They're not here to conquer," General Williams said 3 days later. The emergency bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains buzzed with grim activity as representatives from surviving military forces worldwide gathered around holographic displays. "They're here to strip mine." Maya Chen, one of the few high-ranking officers to escape the initial attack, studied the data. She'd lost Jakarta and everyone she knew there. The hollowness inside her had hardened into something dangerous. "The Korvax are methodical," continued Williams. "According to the limited intel we've gathered, they've done this to 17 other worlds. They disable technology, eliminate resistance, then extract everything valuable, including biological specimens, before moving on." "Specimens?" asked a Russian colonel. "You mean people?" "People, animals, plants. Anything with unique biological properties. The rest they consider waste." Maya zoomed in on footage of the aliens themselves. They stood nearly 8 feet tall with armored exoskeletons of a bronze-gold color. 6 limbs, 4 arms of varying sizes, and 2 powerful legs. Their faces were hidden behind ornate masks that seemed to change patterns continuously. "What's their weakness?" she asked. The room fell silent. Every predator has a weakness. "We haven't found one," Williams admitted. "Our weapons barely scratched their personal shields. Nuclear options were attempted in North Korea and, well, the ships absorbed the energy and grew stronger." Maya stopped the footage on a single frame. A Korvax soldier standing amid the ruins of Paris, its mask pattern shifting as it communicated with others. "Those masks," she said quietly. "They never removed them. Not even the dead ones we've recovered." Dr. Amelia Reyes, a xenobiologist who'd been frantically studying recovered Korvax bodies, looked up. "They can't. The masks aren't technology. They're symbiotic organisms. They're bonded to whatever is underneath." "And what is underneath?" Maya asked. "Something that can't survive in our atmosphere." "The masks filter everything: oxygen, nitrogen, light wavelengths. They're completely dependent on them." Maya's eyes narrowed. "Then that's our target." The global resistance formed in pockets. While the Korvax methodically destroyed major infrastructure and established processing centers in former cities, humans adapted with shocking speed. Old technologies were revived: radio systems using vacuum tubes, mechanical engines, even steam power, anything the Korvax energy fields couldn't disable. Maya Chen found herself elevated to the leadership council, her tactical mind proving invaluable. 6 weeks after the invasion, she stood before representatives from every surviving armed force on Earth. The Korvax believe they're invincible because they've never failed before, she said, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. But they've never encountered humans before. Behind her, screens displayed the fruits of desperate global cooperation, a new weapon developed by combining insights from Russian chemical weapons experts, American nanotechnology, Chinese mass production facilities hidden in remote mountains, and biological research from labs across Africa and Europe. We call it Medusa, she continued, a targeted bioweapon that attacks the symbiotic mask organisms but is harmless to Earth life. Once deployed, it calcifies the masks, turning them rigid. Without their filtration, the Korvax cannot survive our atmosphere. An Australian general leaned forward. How do we deploy it? They control the skies, the oceans. We don't have to deploy it everywhere at once, Maya replied. We just need to hit their command ships. The Korvax operate on a strict hierarchy. Disrupt the top, and the entire operation falters. And how exactly do we reach their command ships? Asked a skeptical American admiral. Maya's expression hardened. We give them what they want. We give them specimens. The plan was audacious to the point of insanity. Around the world, remaining scientific and military facilities worked around the clock, repurposing captured Korvax technology and developing the Medusa bioweapon. Meanwhile, Maya Chen underwent extensive physical modifications, subdermal implants that would mask her life signs to mimic death, neural interfaces that would allow her to control salvaged Korvax technology, and storage systems for the Medusa weapon. On a cold night 3 months after the invasion began, Maya stood before the assembled resistance leadership. Her body was a hybrid of human and alien tech now, her skin pale from surgeries, her eyes augmented with optical enhancements. The Korvax collect the dead for processing, she said. Their automated harvesters gather bodies for biological material extraction. Once inside their processing center, I'll reactivate, access their transport systems, and get to the North American command ship. General Williams looked at her with a mixture of admiration and sorrow. The chances of survival are irrelevant. Maya cut him off. Humanity's chances of survival are what matter. Dr. Reyes stepped forward with a small vial of swirling silvery liquid. Medusa is ready. Once aboard their command vessel, releasing it into their air circulation system will affect every Korvax on board within minutes. Maya nodded, taking the vial and watching the liquid shimmer. If this works, the leaderless Korvax forces will be vulnerable to ground attacks. Be ready. As the others filed out to make final preparations, Williams remained behind. Maya, he said quietly, there's something else you should know. We've intercepted enough of their communications to understand their motivation. Earth isn't just another conquest for them. Maya raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? They've encountered humans before. A colony ship that left Earth a century ago, before we lost interest in space exploration. That ship found a habitable planet, established a settlement. The Korvax found them 15 years ago. What happened? Williams handed her a datapad. The colonists fought back with such ferocity that they destroyed 3 Korvax ships before being overwhelmed. No species had ever damaged Korvax vessels before. They came here to eliminate what they now consider a threat to their dominance. Maya scrolled through the translated Korvax reports, stopping at one phrase that had been repeated in their communications. The world of the defiant ones must be cleansed. Her lips curved in a cold smile. They have no idea how defiant we really are. The harvester units moved through the battlefield with mechanical precision, gathering bodies into collection chambers. Maya Chen lay among the dead, her systems in hibernation, her mind conscious but her body showing no signs of life. The battle had been staged, a deliberate last stand that ensured significant casualties while also ensuring Maya's body would be collected. She felt herself lifted by mechanical arms, scanned, and deposited in a dark chamber with dozens of other bodies. The harvester unit sealed shut and began moving toward the nearest processing center, the ruins of what had once been Denver. Inside her modified body, Maya prepared. The Korvax would learn soon enough. They had dared to attack Earth, and now they would pay. The reckoning. The processing center hummed with alien efficiency. Mechanical sorters separated human remains by tissue type, feeding endless conveyor systems that transported biological material to the waiting ships. Among the bodies, Maya Chen remained motionless, her enhanced senses gathering data through nearly imperceptible scans. 3 hours after arrival, her collection pod was loaded onto a transport vessel. As the craft descended toward the North American command ship, Maya's implants detected the change in pressure and atmosphere. It was time. With a rush of artificially triggered adrenaline, her systems reactivated. Her eyes snapped open in the darkness of the collection chamber. Pain flooded her augmented body as dormant nerves fired back to life, but she had been trained to compartmentalize suffering. Moving silently among the dead, she extracted a compact device from beneath her skin, a neural interface stolen from a Korvax scout and modified for human use. The transport ship docked with a metallic thud. Maya felt the collection pod being moved again, transferred into the massive command vessel hovering above what had once been Chicago. She placed the neural interface against the pod's interior wall, allowing it to melt through the material and access the ship's systems. Through the interface, the Korvax ship's architecture unfolded in her mind like a three-dimensional blueprint. She located air circulation systems, command centers, and most importantly, security protocols. With precise mental commands, she overrode the pod's locking mechanism. The lid hissed open, revealing a dimly lit cargo bay filled with identical pods. No Korvax were present. The collection process was fully automated at this stage. Maya slipped out, her modified body moving with unnatural grace. Her muscles, enhanced with carbon fiber weaves, barely registered the transition from hibernation to full combat readiness. "I'm aboard," she subvocalized, activating the quantum entanglement communicator embedded near her larynx. Thousands of miles away, resistance leaders would receive her transmission without the Korvax detecting any signals. Proceeding to environmental controls. Supreme Commander Calvor of the Korvax harvesting fleet stood on the observation deck of his flagship, watching Earth's surface through specialized viewing fields. The planet's resources were proving even richer than anticipated, especially the biological diversity, which exceeded anything in their extensive database. But it was the humans that truly interested him. 17 worlds had fallen to the Korvax, their populations offering minimal resistance before being processed. Humans, however, continued fighting long past the point of reason. Even now, weeks after their technological infrastructure had been neutralized, they attacked Korvax harvesters with primitive weapons, sacrificing themselves in futile assaults. Like the others, he subvocalized to his executive officer, the patterns on his symbiotic mask shifting with complex emotions that had no human equivalent. "The colony we eradicated on Proxima Centauri displayed the same irrational persistence. A genetic aberration," responded the executive officer. "Most species value survival above all. Humans appear defective in this algorithm." Calvor's mask pattern swirled thoughtfully. Yet they achieved spaceflight despite their primitive psychology. They warrant further study before complete processing. An alert pulsed across his consciousness, a minor security anomaly in Collection Sector 7. He dismissed it. The automated systems frequently registered false positives when processing new species. The harvesting would continue. Maya moved through the ship's arterial corridors, avoiding Korvax patrols through a combination of stealth tech and the ship's own blind spots identified by the neural interface. The command vessel's interior was a disorienting blend of mechanical precision and organic architecture, living metal that seemed to breathe, surfaces that shifted color based on who observed them. She pushed aside her scientific curiosity. The mission had one objective: reach the central air circulation hub and release Medusa. The vial of silvery liquid felt heavy against her modified ribcage, where it was secured in a specialized compartment. A patrol of Korvax warriors approached. Maya pressed herself into a recessed alcove, her adaptive camouflage blending with the ship's walls. The aliens passed within inches, towering, graceful beings whose movements suggested immense strength contained by precise control. Their masks pulsed with communication patterns, sharing information Maya couldn't interpret. When they had gone, she continued toward the ship's core. According to the neural interface, the environmental controls were located 15 levels down, near the power generation systems. Maya accessed a vertical transport shaft, overriding its security with precisely timed commands through her augmentations. As she descended through the shaft, her communicator vibrated. "Ground forces in position," came General Williams' voice. "Awaiting your signal." Below, Earth was preparing. The moment the Korvax command ship was compromised, every remaining military unit would launch synchronized attacks on harvesting centers worldwide. Underground factories had been manufacturing primitive but effective weapons that could penetrate Korvax armor once their masks failed. Humanity would have one chance: a single, coordinated global strike. "Understood," Maya responded. "Estimated deployment in 20 minutes. She reached the environmental level and emerged into a vast chamber pulsing with alien technology. At its center stood what the neural interface identified as the atmospheric processing unit, a towering structure of crystalline components that regulated all airflow throughout the command ship. Maya approached it cautiously, withdrawing the vial of Medusa. The bioweapon appeared to sense its target, the silvery liquid becoming more active, swirling faster within its container. She was 3 steps from the processor when a voice spoke behind her, in perfect, unaccented English. "Humans continue to surprise me." Supreme Commander Calvor watched the human female freeze, then slowly turned to face him. He had suspected a possible infiltration when the security anomalies continued, their pattern too consistent for random malfunctions. What he hadn't expected was the elegance of the solution, using their own collection systems against them. "Your modifications are impressive," he continued, studying her altered physiology, "particularly considering the primitive state of your technology." The human's expression remained impassive, but her vital signs, clearly visible to his enhanced senses, showed controlled combat readiness rather than fear. "You speak our language," she said. "We speak all languages of species we harvest. It facilitates efficient processing." Calvor moved with deliberate slowness, circling her. "You have a designation." "Commander Maya Chen." "Commander." The patterns on his mask shifted in what might have been amusement. "You still maintain military hierarchies despite your inevitable extinction. This is the defiance we noted in your colony." Maya's eyes narrowed slightly. "You destroy our Proxima Centauri settlement." "It was necessary. Your species demonstrated unusual aggression. The colonists destroyed 3 harvesters before submission, an unprecedented occurrence." Calvor's upper limbs adjusted something on his armor. "Now we understand why. Humans do not value survival appropriately." "We value freedom more," Maya replied, her hand tightening around the vial. Calvor's mask patterns accelerated. "An evolutionary disadvantage, but fascinating. You will be preserved in our biological archives after processing." Maya smiled then, a cold expression that gave even the Korvax commander pause. "You made a critical mistake," she said. "You judged us by the standards of the worlds you've conquered. Peaceful worlds, cooperative species, and humans are different." Calvor asked, genuine curiosity in his voice. "We evolved as predators on a world full of predators. Our history is warfare. Our greatest advances came from conflict." Maya's augmented eyes gleamed. "When peaceful species meet a superior force, they submit. When humans meet a superior force..." She moved with augmented speed, flinging the vial not at the environmental processor but directly at Calvor's mask. "We adapt and overcome." The vial shattered against his face, the Medusa weapon making direct contact with his symbiotic mask. The reaction was immediate. The living material hardened, crystallizing into a rigid shell. Calvor clawed at his face with all four arms, emitting a high-frequency sound that burned through Maya's enhanced hearing. She didn't waste the opportunity. Launching herself toward the environmental processor, she extracted a backup file from inside her forearm and emptied it into the intake system. The silvery liquid disappeared into the ship's circulation with a soft hiss. "It's done," she transmitted to Earth. "Operation Thunderstrike is go." Across the massive command ship, chaos erupted. Korvax warriors and technicians collapsed as their masks calcified, cutting off their carefully regulated atmosphere. Some managed to reach emergency stations, but the Medusa spread faster than their countermeasures. Maya fought her way to the bridge, cutting down disoriented Korvax with their own weapons. The ship's automated defense systems activated, but her neural interface gave her unprecedented control, redirecting security protocols and sealing off sections. On the bridge, she found Calvor still alive, his partially calcified mask allowing minimal filtration. The Supreme Commander leaned against a control console, his magnificent armor now dull, his movements labored. "You cannot defeat an empire," he gasped. Maya accessed the ship's communication systems, broadcasting on all frequencies, to the Korvax fleet and to Earth below. "This is Commander Maya Chen of Earth. Your command ship has been compromised. Your Supreme Commander is dying. Your forces on the ground are under coordinated attack." She stepped closer to Calvor, her voice hardening. "I have one message for the Korvax Empire. You dared attack Earth. Now you'll pay." With a single precise strike, she ended the Supreme Commander's struggle. Then she activated the ship's emergency protocols, initiating a fleet-wide command to retreat and regroup, standard Korvax procedure when leadership was compromised. Across Earth's skies, the massive alien ships began to withdraw, their harvesting operations abandoned, their ground forces suddenly leaderless and vulnerable to the human counterattack that had already begun. 1 month later, Maya Chen stood at a window in the rebuilt United Earth Defense Headquarters, watching construction crews clear alien debris from what had once been downtown Chicago. Her body was being gradually purged of its modifications, the process almost as painful as the initial augmentation had been. General Williams joined her, offering a tablet displaying the latest reports. "The last Korvax outpost in the Siberian region fell yesterday. Earth is officially clear of invaders." Maya nodded. "And the captured ships?" "Being studied and repurposed. The technological leap is substantial." Williams hesitated. "We've managed to decode more of their database. The Korvax Empire spans 37 star systems. They've never experienced defeat before." "They will now," Maya said quietly. "The Proxima Centauri colony managed to destroy 3 of their ships. We've captured 17 and driven off their entire fleet." Williams studied her face. "You're suggesting we take the fight to them." "I'm suggesting we ensure they never return." Maya turned from the window. "We've reverse-engineered their FTL drives. We've improved the Medusa weapon. And most importantly, we've proven something vital." "What's that?" Maya's eyes, still unnaturally bright from her augmentations, fixed on the horizon. "That in all the galaxy, there's nothing more dangerous than humans with a grudge." Outside, the first of Earth's new defense fleet, ships built from salvaged Korvax technology, rose into the atmosphere, their hulls gleaming not with alien darkness, but with the silver and blue of humanity's united forces. On their sides, a simple message was emblazoned in every human language. "You dared attack Earth. Now you'll pay." The warning was clear. Humanity was no longer merely a planet-bound species, and the galaxy would soon learn that Earth did not forgive those who threatened its existence.